you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm enjoying myself at FanFest, and I'm so excited to meet you finally in person. It's been a year since we were on the podcast itself, but now we get to hang out for a moment, and I really appreciate you and everything you're doing.
I know. And then, they're raffling that picture that Dennis had done of Frank, which is absolutely incredible.
It is incredible.
So I see people are buying a lot of the raffle tickets and everything. So I'm proud that he's still remembered. I mean, I always say to the fans that without the fans, we would not be having this event.
Very true, very true. And he's definitely remembered to this day, and he'll be remembered forever.
He certainly will. And for people like you that help it along, the family, well, thanks you.
Thank you very much. Barbara Goodrich, make sure you follow Barbara Goodrich. Any Bruiser Brody stuff you want signed or buy it from her. Message her on Facebook. That's right, Bruiser Brody. Check it out.
Check it out. Huss.
Johnny Cashmere, why did you betray your friend Joel Maximo?
My friend Joel Maximo. Didn't talk to him for 12 years while I was not in the wrestling business. I have plenty of fair weather friends. Let me tell you something. With friends like Joel Maximo, who the hell needs enemies? I'm not getting any younger. I got to fast track my career. If it means blowing out the other guy's candle to make mine shine a little bit brighter, I'm all for it, Dank. I don't care what anybody says.
It's terrible, man. Terrible, man. Johnny Cashmere. Who taught you how to rap?
Well, I spent some time working at McDonald's, and part of their training is you gotta take the things and you gotta fold them the right way, you gotta wrap them the right way. So I didn't last very long, as you could tell. I just wasn't. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. It's not for everybody. I'm currently jobless outside professional wrestling, so I really hope that this takes off because the cardboard box just isn't keeping me insulated at night anymore.
You need to put your priorities in.
You think I should go back to McDonald's?
No.
You think Ronald will take me back? Ronald.
Grimace.
Grimace. Yeah. Well, Grimace is working with the Mets now. So do you think I could get a job with the Mets?
You probably
get a good job with
probably
the Mets?
Be in the starting lineup for the Mets.
Starting lineup for the Mets? I'll take that.
I don't think that's gonna work.
You don't think that's gonna? Why don't you think it's gonna work?
I don't think it's gonna work. Anyway.
I just want to say that it was super rude of you to walk away from me earlier.
Talking to the New York State champion, you're going to have to pay up.
Do you take kale?
Dude, goodbye.
Whipwreck, Cation, doesn't matter.
We'll see what happens, but it looks like we have a special guest. Get my earplugs on.
No.
You was looking for Tina, and then you talk about people
dominate tonight, all right? The Dirty Deeds, they got nothing.
We're now the new Starlet champion. What's going on?
Hi, I am fearless princess, so why not team up?
All right, now just announced by Mr. Joel Maximo for February.
The show is called The Shadow Band, and I was like, that's kind of...
Hold on. Let me speak. Okay?
But today I got a very special guest. I got the great.
Welcome to Beyond the Barricade. I'm your host, Papa Dank, and NWA Week continues right here on the podcast. Yesterday we had the Thrillbilly himself, Silas Mason. I want to thank him for coming on. And no, it is not slime time, even though slime balls think it's always slime time. It is not slime time. All right, let me bring to you my very special guest, who is also the lead announcer for NWA Power and the COO of the NWA, the one, the only, Joe Galli and Kitty.
Yeah, I look a lot different on podcasts.
I see.
I put a lot of makeup on when I do television, but this is how I really look when I'm at home. Just a cat. And I'm actually just a cat.
You're actually just a cat. I love it. I
think you got to give the people what they want. Everybody loves to see cat, dog photos, and baby photos. That's the most popular stuff on my Instagram. I don't know about you.
Speaking of baby photos, I got this special baby photo right there. Look at
that. Look at her. So excited for Power today. She was screaming. Couldn't wait for it to come on the CW.
Very excited to watch on the CW.
Yeah, it is. Thank you for posting that. She's very cute. She is officially 13 days old.
Wow.
So you can imagine. I'm a little tired. Ron, I got to tilt this up a little bit. I can't keep just talking to my crotch. It's weird. Come on now.
Never been done here on Beyond the Barricade. Just see.
Well, I'm always about breaking the mold, breaking the barrier, and really, it's gonna be the highest rated thing ever. So you see Papa Deck
It
talking
is.
like crotch for 5 minutes. Oh my god!
It might be a thing. It might be a thing. Let's talk about some NWA this weekend.
Please do.
You got a special meet and greet this Friday, August 30th at Walmart in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
That
and
is
you know what's
awesome.
great for it? It's also part of a fundraising campaign that we've been doing with the Children's Miracle Network. We've done a couple in the New York area. This is our first time doing it at a Walmart in Philadelphia. So we're trying to tie this in when we ever have shows in a town. We're going to be going to like Sarasota, for example, for our Samhain 2. We'll probably find a Walmart there, and we'll try to incorporate it so we get to meet fans, shake some hands, and then also we're doing it for a good cause as well, because the charity component of the NWA has always been a big thing for us as well. We want to give back to these communities that we're going into, and we want to give back to causes that we think are really, really important to us. And that's why we've had charity shows like Cares for Cooper in Highland Park, and we've partnered with so many great organizations out there to just really help people out in communities. So I think it's a really cool opportunity for people to meet the stars. And, like there's this, times are tough right now. I think everybody knows that. And so, people sometimes need to choose, like, do I want to see the show, but I actually want to meet them. But a lot of times meet and greets cost money. So we're kind of changing the mold on that, where we want to be able to still give fans that access. But instead of us trying to make, however much money you can make from a meet and greet, a few $1,000 or whatever, a lot of that can go to a charitable organization and do a lot of good in the community. And then the community likes us so much, they want to have us come back. And so we make more money on the back end of it. It's not rocket science. So
I 100% agree.
Yeah, and you get to meet the fan, and the fans get to meet us and take pictures, and it's actually really fun.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. Thank you, Mr. Herb Simmons.
Hey, Herb.
Appreciate you.
Not many guys named Herb anymore. How old do you think Herb is? He's got to be 50 plus. I don't think I've met a 20-year-old or younger Herb.
He was around all the old school NWA in the offices.
Yeah, Herb.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff coming out of Herb. I learned a lot of things. Awesome stuff. Now, speaking of Walmart, man, you guys are coming to Queens, right?
Oh yeah, we're coming to Queens for another show there. Which is part of our NWA on tour. So it's kind of like, I guess, in the parlance of wrestling speak, you would call it a house show. So it's kind of something like that. And we're starting to branch out into the Northeast, obviously. Our national promoter, Brian Idles, really spearheaded that. And I think he's got a lot of good connections, especially in the New York area. Him running his own promotion, which is FTW, which is primarily based in Florida, but they also run a lot of shows up in New York as well. So it's opened a door to us to get to, the highest populated cities in America, which is great, and really introduce the NWA. And, NWA's kind of struggled to be in the Northeast. March, if anybody knows wrestling history, I mean, you had Vince, essentially controlling that entire corridor there.
Monopoly.
So it's nice for us to be able, now that the world is kind of open and the way that we're doing territory is different. It's kind of company versus company, not state versus geographic area or whatever. So it's kind of nice for us to be able to go to these places. And if you look at a lot of our metrics for where people are actually watching NWA Power, we've seen it, even from way back in the day when we were still on YouTube, the number one city for us was always New York City. So that's where the number one fan is. It probably has something to do with the fact that it's the highest population, but it's also the number one place where we're going to have fans that want to come out, and there's a hunger for the NWA. And now we're finally making, our edge into that area without having to, bring the whole TV truck and all that sort of expense with it. But still, what we offer is a really fun show for people to come and see the stars and, really, and just come out and see the entertainment that we have to offer.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait. I'll be at the Queen's show. I'm from Long Island, so
great.
I'm excited to come to the Queen's show.
Awesome.
Let's talk about a little bit about this. Adventures in Carneyland, which is now streamed on Apple TV and Amazon.
Yeah, you can go on those, and I think that's really more for the international audience to go to those platforms, because it's still available on the CW and it's free. So if you want to go and you want to buy it, by all means, please do. More money for us is great, but to be honest with people, like, you could still just download the CW app, which is free, and watch it on the CW app, which is free. And then you could also watch NWA Power on the CW app, which is free. So, but the CW app's not available in everywhere. There's a lot of countries where it's not available. So it's really a good resource for a lot of that content to be available to our fans. We've got a really large fan base, especially in like the UK and in Australia. We've got several people that reach out in other countries in Europe. Canada's another big one. So it kind of opens the door for them to kind of see this content that they haven't been able to see because CW just has the geolocation that it does.
Absolutely. What's what I got here? Oh, yeah, this Saturday, August 31st.
Yeah, baby.
I'm excited. Everybody go get their tickets. NWALiveEvents.com right now. 2300 Arena. World famous, Joe, right?
I'm very excited. I've never been there. And while we have this graphic up, the two people at the bottom of the graphic are NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, EC3 on our NWA World Women's Champion, Kenzie Page. Both of them today celebrating 1 year as world champion. They both won those titles.
Wow, congratulations
NWA
to both.
74 last year. So, and that was on the 27th. So congratulations to them for making it 1 year as world champions. And we'll see what everything has to offer for them going into this Saturday at the ECW Arena, which I don't know if people who follow history may remember there's not so much good history with the NWA in that particular building.
Really?
Well, if you look at what happened with Shane Douglas throwing down the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship almost 30 years ago to the day that we're going to be having the show. So, I mean, at a point where, a lot of people in the wrestling world said the NWA was dead at that point, it also launched ECW to having their own World Heavyweight Champion and kind of skyrocketed that promotion there. So there's a real historic meaning for us to be in this building, especially at this time. We spent so many time having our anniversary shows at the Chase in St. Louis, and we love the Chase. It's a great place to go. It's a great place to stay. And it has such a different ambiance when it comes to professional wrestling. It doesn't look like any other place that you could ever have pro wrestling. It's very unique. And there's a lot of history that's tied to it, but we've got so much history. We've got 76 years of history that we can go to all these different places and we can kind of pick and choose. It doesn't need to go all the way back to Harley Race and Lou Thez. We can go to the most recent history, which would be when Shane Douglas threw down the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship and declared the NWA dead. And look at that. We're back here to celebrate 76 years and continuing on. So it's really cool for us to be able to get this opportunity to open the door for us to be able to go to Philadelphia for the first time under the Lightning One era of the NWA, and also to kind of celebrate the fact that we're not dead and we ain't going anywhere.
100% not going anywhere. Making a lot of news. Kenzie Page, she's making a lot of acclaim recently from wrestlers all over the world.
Yeah. I mean, and that even started very early on. Before Kenzie Page was a world champion with us, there were several professional wrestlers out there. Mickey James comes to mind. That really just there's something just in her. She has it, and that's just, you can't learn it. You can't teach it. You can't go to school for it. You just have to have it.
Right.
And she has it, and so does her sister Kylie Page, and that's why Kenzie Page is in the position that she's in, not only being the NWA World Women's Champion, but also running one of our territories, KFW, which is now, it was started by her father, but she's inherited it now. And at such a young age. I mean, when I was 22, 23 years old, I was, barely graduating college and screwing around and doing a bunch of BS, and certainly wasn't running my own professional wrestling territory. So it's super commendable. She's such a smart woman. And so not just in the ring, but just in general. And it's a pleasure to work with her every day and to see her work in the ring. Sky's the limit for Kenzie Page. I'm so happy that she's, one of our, long-term contracts that we have with the National Wrestling Alliance, much like Thrillbilly Silas Mason, who you've had on the show. Yes. These are people that just have so much innate talent and so much raw talent, and then so much skill to go on top of it. It's the perfect thing that what you want to have for a superstar that wrestling fans are going to gravitate to. And especially kids. Kids love Silas and kids love Kenzie. That's why when we've done press tours with them, especially recently, we went to Dothan, Alabama. We brought Kenzie and Silas down, and the kids just flock to them. They get to take the belts and stuff and all that. And I'm so happy that we have the talent roster that we have, especially with our world champions, who they are, at least at the moment.
Now, talking to Silas, man, the guy has charisma. A lot of charisma.
Yeah, the kids say Riz these days. They shorten.
Riz?
He's got Riz.
Riz.
He's the Rizzler.
Well, he's got Riz, Mr. Mason over there. I had a great time talking to him yesterday, man.
Yeah, no question about it.
Such a great guy.
He is. He's a special dude. He's got it can be a lot, is what I'm trying to say. We've been on tour in Australia with Silas. That's where the Southern Six was formed. I've spent a lot of time with Silas, and that's the personality that you see in the ring is not fake. It is, or put on, or a character. It is Silas. So that doesn't turn off.
Yeah. I talked to him after, and it doesn't turn off.
It doesn't turn off, dog. So, and that's a good thing, though. That's what you want to have in professional wrestling, and that's the key to anybody that's a big star in professional wrestling. And you can look at, the biggest stars that have ever been: Stone Cold, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, all these. They are who they are. It's just when the camera's on, it gets turned up a little bit, but they're still who they are, and people can instantly connect with someone who is genuine. Yeah, they have to relate to it, and being genuine makes it a lot easier. It's really hard if you're trying to be something that you're not. And that's to go back to what you were saying. If it's slime time, them slime balls, they're that way too. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen.
I was going to bring them up because I know them both very well. And man, they're killing it.
They are. They're challenging for the NWA United States Tag Team titles in a 4-way match at NWA 76. They definitely don't have the size of the other competitors that are there, with Daisy and Talos being 7 feet tall, the Fixers combined weight of almost a half a ton. And then you've got, I think it's the Immortals or something. No, not the Immortals. Who's it? The Country Gentlemen. Country Gentlemen are in that. Yeah, sorry, I haven't slept in a long time.
That's okay. The Kazana brothers, AJ and Kazana.
Yeah, they're coming in. That's great that you're going to have them on the show. And they're fantastic to work with, along with Joe. It's time
for AJ, just so you know.
What was that? Papa, I think we're having some audio issues here. I think I lost.
Can you hear me now?
Much better. There we go.
All right. Yeah, AJ is his 3rd time being on the podcast. KC his 2nd time.
Great. I'm happy that they're making the rounds and they're talking to great guys like you.
Thank you.
And they, AJ Kazana, former NWA United States Tag Team Champion as well. He's never done it with his big brother, but all that could change at NWA 76 at the ECW Arena this Saturday. So I look forward. That's one of the matches. I'm looking forward to all the matches, but that's, one of the top of the list,
Top of the list. Now, any chance we'll see the NWA Slime logo on a T-shirt?
Well, they have a shirt. That's a great question. I'll bring that up. Danny Deals runs our merchandise. And I think that would be a nice little variant for us to have. That would be specifically theirs, like an NWA Slime logo. I think so,
man.
I'll text them right after we're done with this podcast.
Tons of money in that.
I think so. I mean, it's another one of those things, like, we're really trying to reach out to, wrestling fans are always going to come and watch a wrestling show. It's easy to sell, like, come watch wrestling to people who are just wrestling fans. Right. So we're trying to get to the new audience and the younger audience, which means kids. And kids, like I said, love Silas, they love Kenzie, but they love the slime balls. I mean, they're just, I think it's the energy. I think it's the goofiness. I think you look at them and you think that they're from like a 90s cartoon, Saturday morning cartoon or something, Long
Islanders, just so you know.
And Long Islanders. So there you go. And maybe that's part of why they've got that weird personality or something like that. But it's super relatable, especially to young kids, young boys in particular. And they want to buy slime time shirts or slime ball shirts and stuff. So, I love having them around, and they're always fun. I mean, they cut crazy, weird promos in dumpsters. It's, they go all out. And once again, it's being genuine. I mean, this is who these guys are. I mean, this is
100% how they are. 100%.
They are from Slimeball City, baby.
They are from Slimeball City. I keep telling Tommy, man, you need more merch. You're gonna sell it. You guys are killing it. You guys are gonna do this.
And we will have some of their merch available at the show as well. We've got some new merch that's going to be coming out as well. We try to do it every time we have a big show. We come out, and I guess everybody does that, really come out with some exclusive merchandise for that particular show. And we've got some great stuff that's, when we're running shows in Florida all the time, it's hard to sell the sweaters. So we're going up to the places that actually have winter. We've got some really cool shirts and things like that people can wear, and that would sell pretty well as well. So, it's one of those things. And that's how that's one of the biggest indicators. People always like, how do you know somebody's over? And you could look at likes on social media. You could look at signs that are being held up in a crowd. But I think the biggest metric you have is the merchandise sales. If a person's actually selling tons and tons of merchandise, then they not only is a person a fan, but they're a fan to the point to where they open their wallet. And that's hard to do, especially nowadays with the economy. I mean, I just got back from the grocery store. It's $150. It's going to last me 3 days. Right. So if you've got somebody who's going to, spend $20 on a t-shirt or $10 on a hat or even $3 on a sticker, that is really the proof in the pudding that somebody is really over, because then somebody's actually making a financial investment in their fandom. And that's what's important.
That is very important. All right, let's go into your history a little bit. So tell me how you fell in love with professional wrestling.
Well, like everybody else, you just start watching it as a kid. I'm from Los Angeles, and I went to a Catholic school when I was younger. And to date myself, a lot of my friends had cable, and I didn't. We were not that fortunate enough to have that. So they were always watching Raw and talking about it, and they're my friends, and I just couldn't participate in any of that. And then SmackDown aired on UPN, which was an over-the-air station. And so I was finally able to watch it on my television in the living room. And this is one of those televisions where the case of the television is made out of wood. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. They actually used to make televisions out of wood. How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
Yeah. And so that's watching The Rock and Stone Cold. And that was sort of my introduction into actually watching pro wrestling while my dad was passed out on the couch, because he did construction. He worked all day, and, he busted his ass in that Southern California heat. And I'm in there, and I just want to watch SmackDown until it's past my bedtime. And so that's how you start to just fall in love with it, just like everybody else. And then you become a fan, and later on you start doing the things that they tell you not to do, and you're with your buddies, and you get the inflatable bounce house for somebody's birthday, and you're in there trying to do F5s and shooting star presses and things you're not supposed to do, and finding junk and having hardcore matches in a backyard somewhere. And then that eventually led, I have a very close friend of mine who's the best man at my wedding. He's been my best friend for a long time. He wrestles under the name Boss Baines. And he saw an ad in a paper, like, talk about going back in time now, like a physical
ad.
It wasn't the Los Angeles Times. It was the Daily News, I think, was the lesser known paper in Los Angeles. But there was an ad. It was a 2-for-1 coupon for a free, like, a bring your friend and have half off wrestling class. And he's like, do you want to go? And without hesitation, I said, yeah, what could it hurt? It sounds fun. But also at the time, like, I had never done sports. I was not that guy. I was a theater kid. I was involved in journalism at school. I was like the entertainment editor of the newspaper in high school. And at the time I was at college at California State University, Northridge, for journalism. And I was like, yeah, okay, why not? And then I took that, first introductory course at Make Me a Pro Wrestler, or as it became known, the Fit Pit. No longer exists because the people who ran it are actually super successful other places. That'll happen. And then, but yeah, that's where I just started training, and I wrestled, and I was on the indies in Southern California for a little while. And, but then I got a job. My career in broadcast news started kind of unexpectedly. It's like you go to college, especially for something like journalism, and there's a lot of people who take the course and they graduate and they can't break through and make it into that actual industry. It's not like accounting or engineering, but because it's so talent based and appearance based, and there's all these different qualifiers that come with it. But I was very lucky, and I got a shot to go be a morning reporter at a station in Toledo, Ohio, which was had the perfect call letters for me because it was WNWO. So WNWO was like, oh, I have to take it. It's like a sign.
Right.
So then I started in journalism, and wrestling took kind of a back seat. I'm still a fan, still enjoyed it, but it's mostly that's a very demanding job when you're going to be a reporter, whether it's the fun morning reporter guy or the more hard news thing, which I evolved into. But then eventually, I moved back to Southern California. I got a job at KESQ, the Deserts News Leader in Palm Springs, California. And at the time, there was this show in Los Angeles called Championship Wrestling from Hollywood by a guy named Dave Marquez. And the guy who was doing their commentary was Todd Kennelly, who was moving on to go to Impact at the time. It might have been TNA. It was in between one of those times when I had those two names. So he was going to go there. So they had a spot open, and Dave Marquez came from broadcast, and he liked the fact that I was also in broadcast. So he just gave me a shot, and it was the taping schedule after the Red Carpet Rumble, which is their biggest show of the year. So I was there for like one of the shows, just kind of watching. I think I did a couple backstage interviews. But then that's how I got my foot in the doors. He had me be the lead play-by-play guy, and I did that for a number of years at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. So I owe Dave a lot for me to have this position that I have in professional wrestling to get those reps in. I think that's the hardest thing. There's a lot of people out there that want to have that job. They idolize guys like Michael Cole and JR and even guys like Excalibur now. And they would think like, man, I love talking. I love wrestling. I love telling stories. This would be great. But it's hard to get your foot in the door because you have to find somebody who's actually shooting television or some version of that. So I was able to do that. And then at the same time, almost about the same time, Billy Corgan buys the National Wrestling Alliance. So he owns the brand, he owns the company, he owns the belts. And they had Tim Storm was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and they wanted to start building a feud between him and Nick Aldis. And Billy knew he needed to be on television somewhere. They got to go someplace. So they went to Hollywood. They went to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and they started building those matches together. And that's where I met Billy. And I called, my first NWA world title. I don't even know if it was a world title match. It might have been non-title. It was Tim Storm versus Zicky Dice. And after we did that taping cycle, I got pulled into the hallway with Billy Corgan, and it was one of those things like, hey everyone, Billy Corgan's coming, don't be a mark, don't ask for photos, just let him do his thing. And so I was didn't really talk to him at all. I think I maybe said hello, gave him a fist bump or something because he's a fist bump guy. And and he just pulled me in. He's like, hey, I'm starting this thing. It's called the NWA. We're going to have television at some point, and I want you to be the lead broadcaster for it. And I said, sure. Because you never know what things are going to happen. And people tell stories all the time. Like they're going to do something, and then it falls.
And then it falls through.
Yeah, but this didn't. And I've just, stuck with it, and I've been loyal, and, I've been part of all these different anniversary shows, and it's really been an incredible journey from that point to, being the lead broadcaster for the entirety of NWA Power and for all of the Lightning One pay-per-views, with the exception of one that I think was, when we were doing some collaborations with Ring of Honor at the time. And we had Tony Schiavone there, we had Ian and all that other good stuff. So, but it's been really great to really be the voice of this company and the voice of all these incredible matches that have happened, and to see all the successes that we've gone through and all the struggles we had to go through, especially during the pandemic, and how we've been able to turn the corner. And now we're going back to, the 2300 arena for a huge anniversary show. And, if you were watching what we were struggling through during the pandemic, a lot of people probably thought that would never be a possibility. But Billy has a vision, and we have an incredible team, and we all work very hard to produce some incredible content for people and make some money for ourselves at the same time, because if you're not making money, you're not making anything. So we've put ourselves in a position where we can go and we can have these big shows, like NWA 76, and then also, be on tour with the Smashing Pumpkins and do a bunch of matches with them in front of crowds that, they didn't buy a ticket to watch wrestling. They bought a ticket to go to a concert. But those are actually some of the most fun shows.
That's
to be
amazing.
Honest. Yeah, we just did one in St. Louis. It was probably, I'm looking at my calendar here, on the 21st. We did that there, an activation there. They're called activations. It's like an industry term or whatever.
Gotcha.
So but we did it throughout the entire World is a Vampire tour in Australia, and people love it. I mean, it's one of those things, like, I think secretly not everyone knows it, but I think almost everybody on earth is a pro wrestling fan. They just don't know it because they haven't exposed themselves to it yet, or they haven't exposed themselves to something that's a high enough quality that has a story that gets you engaged with it. And you could look at things like soft ground wrestling out of Uganda. You got guys in Uganda that are wrestling in mud, but they're doing all like WWE moves and they're telling stories, and it's built this incredible following in a country that's never had anything like that. And so it just kind of shows that, like, deep down, everybody is really just starving for entertainment. They want to see something memorable. They want to have something to talk about, whether it's, tweet about on their phone or to talk about the next day at work. And it's really cool that we offer something that's unexpected to a lot of people when we do these shows. And I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of those in the future as well, because I think that, we get these people that, maybe they never watch Raw, maybe they never watch SmackDown. They might not even know who Roman Reigns is, but they came to a concert and now all of a sudden they're a fan of us because we kind of, put something in front of them to where, hey, no band's playing. You want to be entertained? You could watch this right now, and bam. And then you just hook them. And that's just, building us as a brand, person by person, fan by fan, especially for people who don't consider themselves professional wrestling fans. I think that that's really a key to success out there. You look at these metrics when it comes to, professional wrestling and television, and WWE's doing gangbusters, right? The ratings are through the roof, the best that there ever been. Well, a super good episode of SmackDown will have 2 million viewers, right? How many people live in the United States? It's almost 400 million people.
Yeah.
So you got to reach out to the vast majority of people that are out there, and you got to find different ways to do it. And that's what we're doing. And that's why we're able to do these really cool things that we're doing.
Amazing things, great things. I got a question from a fan. Are there any independent wrestlers that you are eyeing to bring in?
What's great is we have developed a territory system, which I don't know if you've talked a lot about this on the podcast with the other people that have been on, but as of right now, good. We've got 4 official NWA territories, and we're, it's not like we're trying to bring back something that existed in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s and try to reinvigorate it. We're putting a new spin on it so that it works in this modern environment of professional wrestling. And with those territories, NWA Chicago, Exodus Pro in Cleveland, KFW in East Tennessee, and then also NWA JCP in Tennessee as well, we're able to basically talent scout a lot of people that, either haven't looked over or haven't gotten their opportunity yet. And that's when we've been able to be introduced to such incredible people like Silas Mason, like the Slime Balls, like Pretty Boy Smooth, who is the Exodus Pro world champion right now. And if you follow him on social media, you'll see this guy's making towns. He's 7 feet tall. He's built like a brick ass house. And he's a great dude. And I think that he's going to be a huge star. And I'm so glad that he's doing that with the NWA as well. So it's really introducing us to a lot of people out there that maybe just don't have that exposure. There's some guys out there that are just indie darlings.
Yes.
Matt Cardona being one of them, right? I think he would be the one, and maybe that's not a fair comparison because he has been part of the NWA family and he's a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. But there's a lot of guys out there that were using the territory system to see not only how they wrestle, but also how they wrestle in a television environment. And those people are being watched by the people who are running our territories, all of which are fantastic talent scouts, people who can really look at somebody and they can see there's something here and we could do something with them. Right. And so that's one of the great things that we're doing in the NWA is we essentially have a feeder system for really, really good talent. So if anybody's watching this podcast and they're like, I'm a pro wrestler, I think I have what it takes, I just haven't gotten my shot, I keep running into the glass ceiling or into walls or whatever the problem is, show up to one of these territory shows. Go to EC3's, I think he calls it a preface or preface, which is his training seminar. Yeah, he does a training seminar the day before a big show for Exodus Pro. And if you're good at the training seminar, you'll get a match. And if you're good in that match, Billy Corgan will see it. And if it could open doors for you. And it's open doors for other people. So we're giving people a roadmap. If you are an independent wrestler out there and you want a shot at it, that's your way to do it. You just got to work your way up to it. We don't have territories in all 50 states, at least not yet. We're probably going to be adding some more territories in the near future.
Hopefully New York.
Hopefully New York. It would only make sense. It would only make sense for us to be doing stuff in the Northeast. That's where the most people are. That's where you've got so many, crazy wrestling fans. It makes things a lot easier to do it there than to do it in a place with, a lower population density in places where, folks aren't that into wrestling for the most part. But again, we're trying to open the door to the mass audience out there, the people that, that just don't watch it. There are there's billions, literally billions of people on the planet that we can access for that. So that's sort of the goal that we have there. So that's my recommendation to anybody who is a independent wrestler watching this right now is find one of our territories. They're on our website, nationalwrestlingalliance.com. We have lists of all their shows in there, and show up and show out. And then maybe you'll have a chance to actually break on through.
That's where, that's right, Herb. Brandon Barretta was at Exodus Pro.
Great. And that's a fantastic place to be. Especially look at what we've just done with Exodus Pro. Because of the restrictions that we've had putting Power on CW, we can't put episodes of Power, obviously, on YouTube as well. It'd make a conflict, and it doesn't make financial sense to do that. Right. But we can take everybody who does wrestling can stream it for the most part now. It's not hard. That's why we're streaming this podcast right now.
Right.
This isn't a phone call. It's kind of crazy that we have the technology to be able to do something like this. And so we're able to take this same technology we're using right now on this podcast and essentially transfer it over to Exodus Pro or any of our territories, and we can put them on the NWA YouTube channel, which has a huge international reach because Power was on it for so long. So you're not seeing episodes of Power, but you're also seeing some pretty great wrestling, and you're probably seeing a lot of the future stars of the NWA before they get on Power, before they get to the anniversary show like NWA 76 or our big Halloween show, Samhain in Sarasota. It's like you're seeing it early, which I think is really cool. I think it's really cool. But like I said, I grew up in Los Angeles, so I was one of those kids going to independent wrestling shows where the main event would have been the Young Bucks versus Scorpio Sky and Peter Avalon. And see those people. And so it's kind of cool that, being able to say like, oh, I remember when I saw those guys at a warehouse in the city of industry with no air conditioning, and they were in the main event with Willie Mack. And I was excited to sit there and sweat to death to watch it,
I think we've all been in those types of events. Serena says, if you had to pick one match, what is your one favorite match that you've called?
It's hard. There are so many that are exceptional, and we have so many great talents. I would say, I think my favorite match that I've called, if you had to put like a gun to my head, I had to make a choice. Mm-hmm. At this point, I would say it would be Kenzie Page versus Camille at last year's anniversary show, where Kenzie Page defeated Camille and ended what was one of the longest and most dominating world championship runs that we've seen in the NWA or any of pro wrestling actually gets to see. Who aside from Roman Reigns, who holds a belt for 800 plus days,
I know.
So
unheard of.
So the significance of that match and the gravitas, like there's a lot of just fun matches that are just like kind of fun to call. Like if you have some hardcore matches, if you have the steel cage match between the Southern Six and Knox and Murdoch in Dothan, Alabama is also probably up there. Because there's so much story tied in with it, and you also get the gimmick that makes it fun. But the matches that I think are so important are the ones that have historical significance. I think that those are the ones that kind of stick with me. When we, I believe it was 73, we introduced the NWA United States Tag Team Championships, which was won by the Fixers. And, that was a battle royal. So it's not something that a lot of people would count as, some 7-star match or whatever. But there was historical significance that we were bringing back a title that had been just lost to the ether. And so we brought it back, and it was like, this is really cool that we're able to do that. So those are the ones that really stick with me, are the ones that, like, when Hornbaker decides to rewrite or add some chapters to the National Wrestling Alliance book, those are the ones that are going to get mentioned.
Great stuff. I want to talk about The Burke Invitational Gauntlet.
Misty Marks.
Misty Marks will be on later on this week.
I've known Misty Marks for a very long time. There was a moment when I had more free time when I was living here in San Antonio. And here in San Antonio is Dog Pound Championship Wrestling, which is run by Jazz and Rodney Mack. And Misty Marks was actually training there at the time. This is a number of years ago. So just getting started in this, but you could already see that there was something there with Misty Marks, and Misty's stuck with it. I think she's currently their Dog Pound Women's Champion. And we're bringing her from Texas to come be a part of the Burke Invitational and potentially make history and become #1 contender for the NWA World Women's Championship.
Right.
And that skyrockets you. That skyrockets people's careers when they have that opportunity. If you take a look at the people who've actually won the Burke and moved on. So I think that what an incredible talent that is. And that's another good example. I mean, Dog Pound Championship Wrestling, not a territory per se, but it's deeply connected because Jazz is so connected with our women's division behind the scenes. So when we have that and we're able to see that, we're able to see a lot of those talents come up and get an opportunity on a big show, on a big platform like that.
Right. Good stuff, man. Good stuff happening on NWA. And this Saturday, Philadelphia, City of Brotherly Love. Make sure everybody goes and gets their tickets.
I've never been to the ECW arena. I never been to Philadelphia. There was there was a brief few moments of my journalism career where I was working as a reporter in the Poconos for Channel 13 up there. I can't even remember now. Burlington Broadcasting. It was a cable station. It was one of those ones like if you have Spectrum and you see they've got the channel that's got the news all the time. It was that sort of deal. And I was there, and like one of the selling points for that was like, hey, we're just a few hours drive from New York and Philadelphia. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll try it. And then I went there and I had a whole bunch of problems personally in my personal life, and I ended up quitting after a few months.
Oh no.
But so I never made it down. I never spent any time in Philadelphia. So I'm excited to just go to another city and especially go to a place that has so much, again, history and gravitas when it comes to pro wrestling.
Oh, look at that. The CW on Power every Tuesday. Make sure everybody catches the new episodes.
Yeah, man. It's really great. I love that they're our partner, and CW's been really good to us. Every Tuesday, people tuning in. And, it's one of those things that's interesting in the culture that we have. Like, people are like, especially with TV, it's like, well, like, you're so used to SmackDown starts at 8. I'm going to watch it at 8 at this thing. But now it's changed. Look at the landscape that's changed. And even with WWE is now moving Raw to Netflix. I don't know how that's going to work. Are you going to have to wait till 8 o'clock Central to watch it or something? Or how's it going to work? So you've got this whole dynamic here where you're not like handcuffed to the time constraints that come with traditional television. Right. And I think that's actually been a big asset to us is people can watch it whenever they want.
Awesome. Good stuff. Mm-hmm. Make sure everybody checks out Adventures in Carneyland, now streaming on Apple Plus TV and Amazon.
It's a fun show. And here's the thing, I keep telling this to people again, like, even if you're not into professional wrestling, this is still a very fun reality show. Like, I'm not into people catching crab in the Bering Strait, but I did like watching Deadliest Catch. You know what I mean? Right. I don't have an interest in knowing how a pawn shop works. But Pawn Stars is very fun to watch.
Pawn Stars is very fun to watch.
Yeah. So it's sort of the same thing. And it's one of those things of you think there's drama and all this other stuff. When you watch wrestling, there's just as much, if not more, behind the scenes.
Then we got, of course, the meet and greet this Friday, August 30th in the Walmart. Absolutely free. Meet the stars of the NWA. Such great stars as Brian Idol, Nelly Markova, the Page sisters, of course, Trevor Murdoch, Joe, and much, much more. Everybody come down and go say hello to everybody. And it's really
cool. And actually, we might have some more people. Like, we only want to put so many people on the poster that we can make sure they're going to be there. But we're probably going to have a bunch more that'll also be there as well. Because a lot of the boys and girls in the back, they're like, hey, I want to go to this thing. It's like, well, there's the address. You could be there. So,
yeah, show up.
Yeah, just show up. All we're doing is shaking hands and talking to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, the big one on Saturday, August 31st, NWA 76 Philadelphia. Make sure you go to NWALiveEvents.com to get your tickets at the world famous 2300 Arena. You don't want to miss this event. It's sure to sell out and be jam packed in there. And a great, great show coming up.
Oh, It's going to be exciting.
Saturday.
We've got a lot of big surprises. And then even the boss is
a big announcement.
He's making a big announcement, and I have no idea what it is. And that ain't no work, brother. That's a shoot. I don't know what he's gonna say.
Who knows what Billy's gonna say?
It's one of those things, I think who did I hear it from? Bully Ray, telegraph, telephone, telewrestler. Then everybody knows. So Billy knows that if you let one person in the wrestling business know something you want,
everybody knows.
Everybody's gonna know in 5 minutes. So he's got to keep the cards to the chest, as they say. And it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting to see because every time Billy's made an announcement, it's been something that's really, really cool and something that not only do you get the coverage on podcasts like this one or the other wrestling news sites out there. A lot of times when he makes a big announcement, it gets carried on like traditional media as well, which is kind of cool. That you have a guy who runs this company that has such big reach as a rock star and has so much gravitas that's connected with him that people just want to talk about him and they want to talk about what's going on. They want to talk about the new album. They want to talk about this. I think we just put out an article on our social media that was written by one of the local Philadelphia papers out there about us coming to town. So it's pretty cool that we're able to go ahead and make that bridge into the mainstream.
That's great stuff, man. Before we head on out, I want to ask you, because I always ask, like, what are some of your hobbies, Joe? What do you like to do for fun?
Well, now it's change diapers. That's definitely top of my list. Change diapers, not sleep is that. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where wrestling, especially this job, is very there's a lot to it. It's you're working a lot, and so it doesn't open a lot of things. So I'm not like a go out and fish or golf kind of guy. I wish I had time. If I had time, maybe I'd try it.
Right.
But as of right now, I'm in straight up just daddy mode. So, and like I said, Ivy was born. Let's see here. The time we're recording this, in 45 minutes, she'll be exactly 13 days old. So it's kind of interesting when they're so young, you can make those little tiny markers in there.
Yes.
So as soon as we're done talking here, I know it's going to be my turn, and
the diapers.
I'll be changing diapers and giving her the bottle and all that sort of thing. So that's really what's been the cornerstone of what I've been doing recently, and I couldn't be happier. It's hard, just like everybody says it is. Everybody out there that's had kids and deal with it. It's not earth shattering. It's not like everybody who's most people have kids and they deal with the same things we're dealing with. But it's super rewarding. It's one of those things you don't realize it until it happens. And the second I held that baby in my arms at the hospital, I just wept, and it was just overcome, like a tsunami of emotions just hit me.
It does hit you. And
it's just like, and I'm looking in her, I fed her a bottle before I came on the show, and I was just looking in her eyes, and I was like, this is it, baby. This is it. This is what it's all about.
This is it. All right. Now, NWA week will continue for me, actually. Tonight, Lily La Pescarita Ruiz.
I'm excited. That's firecracker right there. That's going to be an entertaining broadcast. That'll be a lot more fun than me, probably.
No, man.
I'm just in here.
This is great. I had a great time.
Two fans. Brr, 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 brr. Look at my baby. Brr, brr, brr. But she'll be
you're amazing. Thank you for coming on. Also, Misty Marks will be on tonight as well.
Woo-wee. Love it.
I got an action-packed week. Then, of course, I have Adriana Mosley, who will also be on the Burke Invitational this Friday night.
I've never met Adriana personally. I've seen a lot of cool stuff, so I'm really excited to see what Adriana has to offer at the Burke too.
Oh man, she's a talent, man.
I love it.
She's tough, and of course, my pals, the Country Gentlemen, coming on this Friday. Let's give it up for AJ and Casey Kazana. Always entertaining time talking
Papa
to those
Joe
guys.
on. You got to get Papa Joe on.
I'm being told that Papa Joe's going to make an appearance. That's what I'm being told.
I'm glad because
I can't confirm it yet.
He's got stories, brother.
I'm sure he's got stories.
He's been in the business for so long. I think there was actually he shared a picture with us, and not to turn this down for sadness, but with the passing of Sid, everybody's talking about memories that they had with Sid Vicious. And he just texted some photo a million years ago that some fan took from this. If you look real close, you could tell that's Joe Kazana versus Sid. So it was pretty cool to see that.
Wow, man, that's such a terrible loss, man. I
know it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. But then again, if you look at the other side of it, when we're all going to go someday, it's great to still have resources like Joe Kazana to you could ask him that story. What was it like wrestling?
Yeah.
And without guys like Joe doing podcasts and staying in this wrestling business the way that they are and running a territory, maybe you don't get those stories anymore. So it's really kind of a blessing if you look at it that way.
Can't wait to talk to him. Hopefully we'll see. As for everybody else, thank you for watching the podcast and stick around. More podcasts coming up later tonight. Joe, just hold on for a minute.